The first time I realized something was wrong, I couldn't unlock my own front door. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. After finishing a long shift as a physical therapist, I returned home carrying groceries. My key wouldn't work. Before I could knock the door open, standing there was my husband's younger sister, Melissa. She smiled casually. "Oh, you're home early," I frowned. "Why doesn't my key work?" "We changed the locks yesterday," she replied. Mom thought only close family should have access." I stared at her. "I am family," she shrugged. "Mom says wives are different." I walked inside without another word. My home no longer looked like mine. Melissa's clothes were hanging in my hallway. My office had become her bedroom. Family photos had been replaced. Then my husband, Ryan, came downstairs. "I was going to tell you." He looked away. "Tonight." His mother entered the living room carrying coffee. She smiled confidently. "Marriage means sharing everything." I answered quietly. "This house isn't shared. Belongs to me." I had bought the house 2 years before our wedding. The mortgage, taxes, and every repair had been paid with my own money. Still, they acted as if I were just another guest. Ryan tried to calm the situation. "Melissa only needs a place for a while." I looked at him. "So you changed the locks on my own house without asking me?" Silence. That silence hurt more than anything. For months I had ignored small warning signs. Ryan's mother controlled our holidays. She decided what furniture stayed. She criticized my clothes. She even expected me to ask permission before inviting friends over. Every time I complained, Ryan defended her. "She's just old-fashioned." I kept sacrificing my voice to keep the peace. That evening I packed a small bag and drove to my father's house. The moment he saw me, he knew something was wrong. After hearing everything, he asked only one question. "Whose name is on the deed?" "Mine," he nodded. "Good." The next morning we visited the county records office. Within 30 minutes we had certified ownership documents. Then my father smiled. "Let's go home." When we arrived, Ryan's mother answered the door. She looked confident until my father placed the legal documents on the kitchen table. "This property belongs entirely to my daughter." Nobody spoke. Ryan's mother finally said, "She's married now. What's hers is his." My father calmly replied, "Marriage doesn't erase ownership." Ryan looked embarrassed. Dad continued, "My daughter welcomed your family because she was kind. You mistook kindness for permission." Then he looked directly at Ryan. "You had one responsibility: to protect your wife. You failed." Ryan lowered his head. For the first time he had nothing to say. My father handed him a business card. "Our attorney has already prepared the paperwork. If my daughter isn't given full control of her property today, we'll file civil action tomorrow morning." Room became completely silent. Ryan's mother suddenly realized this wasn't an argument anymore. It was the law. Less than an hour later, Melissa packed every box. The locks were replaced again. This time I chose the locksmith. Every spare key was returned. Ryan's mother demanded an apology. Instead, my father answered, "Only apology owed today is to my daughter." That evening Ryan asked if we could talk. We sat on the front porch. He looked exhausted. I didn't realize how much I'd allowed my mother to control our marriage. I looked at him. "You didn't just allow her. You expected me to accept it." Tears filled his eyes. "I was wrong." "I know," he asked quietly. "Can we fix this?" I thought for a long moment before answering. "Only if you understand something. Husband doesn't prove his love by obeying his mother. Proves it by respecting his wife." Over the following months Ryan started therapy. He learned how to set healthy boundaries. His mother was no longer allowed to make decisions about our marriage. She wasn't given a key to our home again. Slowly, trust returned, not because of promises, because of actions. One afternoon, months later, Ryan handed me a small gift. Inside was a silver keychain. It held only one house key. He smiled. "This key belongs to the only person who ever truly owned this home." I smiled back, not because I had won a house, but because I had finally stopped giving away pieces of myself just to keep other people comfortable. That day I learned something I'll never forget. Love should make you feel safe, never powerless, and a home is never defined by who holds the keys. It's defined by who respects the person they belong to. As I closed the front door that evening, I stood quietly in the hallway. For months I had believed I was fighting for a house. I was wrong. I had been fighting for my voice. Ryan walked over and handed me every spare key. "I should have protected you," he whispered. "I chose peace with my mother instead of loyalty to my wife." I looked at him for a long moment. "Trust isn't rebuilt with apologies," I said. "It's rebuilt with choices." He nodded, knowing those words were true. A year later our marriage looked completely different. Ryan had learned to set boundaries. His mother no longer made decisions for our family. She visited only when invited. And for the first time since our wedding, our home finally felt like home. One afternoon my father stopped by for coffee. As he was leaving, he smiled and looked around the house. "You know," he said, "this place feels different." I replied. "Why?" I smiled. "Because no one lives here out of control anymore." He hugged me before walking to his car. As I watched him drive away, I realized something that changed my life forever. A healthy marriage is never built on fear, it is built on respect, and the strongest lock on any front door isn't made of steel. It's the boundary that protects your peace. Some people think love means giving up your independence. The truth is, real love protects it.